Hey everyone, welcome to the Abyssal Expedition Season 8 Ranked Comp video. There's a couple different things that I tried in this one, a couple different things you need to consider for each of the groups, so I hope this helps. First is this Eironn comp, which for me hit 5.7, and I call this the 1 in 5, because only 1 in 5 times did I actually get a decent score on this team. A lot of it will have to come down to whether you're willing to reset your celerity tree and nerf it down to 77, 62, 97, 107. You have to experiment and see what's most consistent. But you're just going to have to make some smart choices around which damage numbers you keep and which attempts you end up resetting or rejecting as you go through. For me, I found that I was most consistent around 107 celerity, but you're going to definitely find different levels based on your own tree and your own levels and how strong the rest of the team is. I got a level 9 winged pet, knowing that the buffs were coming, but the level 9 skill is not active during the Season 8 Abyssal Expedition. Now up next is the Mishka comp. Now the one I'm running uses Awakened Swolise with Glhf, Twins, Warwick, and Mishka. But if you have E16 Navanthi, you can run E16 Navanthi instead of Warwick and Chicken instead of Mishka, and this 4.4 comp becomes closer to a 6 or 7 billion comp. But that really depends on whether you have Awakened Swolise and Navanthi available. This Zolrath comp was one that was suggested to me on the crowdsourced Discord. Shout out to everyone who is absolutely a rock star and a champion helping us find the comps for this season. I haven't had an opportunity to test this at all. More than anything, this was compelling because I wasn't using heroes that were in other comps, so we'll see if this turns out to be good, if this turns out to be useful. If it does, great. And if it doesn't, well, you know what? we did our best. Now for this next team, I found that having Dres with Anasta and Rosaline turned out to be the highest damage combination. There's other things you can do to increase this comp, and with Scrag and Mortis, this comp can even get to 1.4, 1.6 billion. But I found overall damage per stamina was better if I split Scrag and Mortis into other comps. But this pretty reliably hits over 700 million, so that was a good comp for me. Next up is Ascended, Thane, Alna, and Mortis. This one pretty frequently hits over 600. Sometimes it dips down into the low 300s, so you want to make sure you don't keep too low of a score if you happen to have this hero. Now, if you have regular Thane, 39, 60 engraving, then you'll be able to run him better than the Awakened Thane that I'm running here. Yeah, these two are, by the way, awesome for taking Cities 1s and City 2s at just 4.4 Relic with Relic Soul. Great combination. This one with Awakened Brutus and Scrag and a Star pretty consistently hits over 900, 1 billion. I've had it go up to 1.1 billion as well. There's other things you can do to increase this team's damage, but I found that keeping Anasta split from Awakened Brutus gave me better damage per stamina. And so I stuck with the Scrag Star Awakened Brutus on this. And this is one of the other ones that has a pet. The trio comps that I ran generally are the ones that I assigned the pets to. As a Star at Dawn, I also have 5 more hero slots and an additional pet slot. So you're going to see me use that for some of the solo carry heroes that are coming up. Now this one, it was exciting. It was the brand new hero, Awakened Baden, and I just ascended Rook. Now if I could engrave Rook and get him more stats, that would have been awesome. Solo, I've seen him do over 300 on some people, but I don't have him built high enough to get over 300 million with him. So in testing the best comps that I could with Awakened Baden, I found that he did best as a duo with Rook. Now if you happen to run him as a solo, I found I was getting about 250 million or so. The same with Rook, I was getting about 200, 250 million. So the two of them together were more damage per stamina, so it was worth it for me. Positioning is important. Having Rook in slot 2 and Awakened Baden in slot 5 turned out to be the best for me, but you're going to need to experiment, and you'll see the same with the individual solo heroes coming up. I personally found that slot 5 or position 5 was one of the most consistent ones for the individual solo heroes, but you really need to go into trial and test yourself, because in some cases you'll find position 2 is better, for some of you might find position 5 is better. So it's going to be important for you to go in, use the trial mode, and see which one ends up working best for you. Like I said, you're going to see me use position 5 for Awakened Baden and some of the other the regular Baden, and some of the other heroes that I do the individual trials for. Izold was a fun one. He will dip down into the 200 and 300s, but he also pretty consistently hits over 400. So it's another one where you have to pay attention to your damage to make sure that you don't accidentally keep a low damage run. But it's great to see some use for Izold coming back for Abyssal Expedition. He's a hero that a lot of the older players have built to different degrees. Mine is engraved to E30. He's using T3 gear. So, you know, nothing too crazy, but he's definitely more than slightly built up. And I'm just glad to see him putting out some good damage per stamina numbers this season. Up next was Geralt. Now I found position 5 Geralt to be most consistent. I got 385 million from Geralt pretty much almost every single run in position 5. But in position 2, I found that I had higher spikes. I got him as high as 460 and 470 on a couple different runs. But he's also more RNG because he's subject to the initial melee damage that the boss does instead of the range targeting, buying him some additional time at the beginning. So you really have to see whether position 2 or 5 works better for you with Geralt, for those of you that paid for him ahead of time, like I did. F2P, by the way. Next one was Framton. Now this was one that had a manual comp for Season 7, but for Season 8, you can just RNG it. He'll usually is pretty good for about 270, 280. With some good luck, he'll hit some of the manual numbers. During the manual in Season 7, he was able to hit mid 300s for me, so that he could reproduce that here was great. And for the most part, the position didn't really seem to matter for Framton because he does that initial dive. So you're, welcome to experiment, try some different stuff, see what works, but I didn't really find anything different. All right, now in terms of the pets, there's a lot to think about and consider on which pets you're going to focus. I had saved up a lot of pet bait. And I decided that for this patch, I was going to make the purple one, the dragon, and the winged be the ones that I focused. And so that's why they're higher levels than most. You can see my tree there. Thanks for listening, and have a great season.